What's up, y'all? It's your boy Denim Jeans back at it again with another video. And today we're finishing our 5-part series of top 10s at each position in the NBA with our centers. We're just going to hop right into it. It's been a fun series, and I look forward to doing it again in the future. Maybe at the end of the season, just to see if my rankings have changed, even if it's just a little bit. My honorable mentions right now, I got Mitchell Robinson. He's a really good defensive center, but he does foul too much. I think he has the potential to be like Rudy Gobert-esque, where like he locks down the paint, and defenders are pretty much like scared to go in there for fear that they won't be able to get their shot off or that they'll have to alter their shot so much that they miss it. But until he gets his foul control, his foul trouble under control, I can't put him in the top 10, not yet at least. But for the future, potentially. I also have Clint Capella. He's someone that I think thrived under the fact they had another top 5 player with him in James Harden. He's been doing all right with the Hawks, but I would like to see him return to his Rockets form, and I think Trae Young can help him do that as he matures and becomes a better player in the NBA. He's already an all-star last year, an all-star starter, so he has the potential to replace like what James Harden was able to do for him in terms of the pick and roll enabling Clint Capella to be a factor on offense, but that will take time for them to mesh and gel together, and then we'll see. And then also I have Miles Turner. It's surprising to me that he was outside of my top 10 because he's been on a tear to start the season. He's been blocking freaking everything. He's been a menace. He's one of the best shooting bigs in the league as well. The only knock I have against him is that, one, he can't really rebound all that well for a 7-footer in the NBA. And 2, he's just not as consistent as I would like him to be. If he was more consistent and was able to rebound just a little bit better at the center spot, he'd be in my top 10 for sure. Probably at number 10. But right now he's just outside it, like my 11th best center in the NBA. So hop right into it. We have the best rebounder, I think, over the past few years in the NBA. Number 10, Andre Drummond. He's been really good for the Cavs so far. Helped them start off to one of the best records in the league. He's been rebounding. He's actually been playing really solid defense. Has been able to help out the young guys with Darius Garland and Colin Sexton on the offensive side of the ball too, putting up points. Off rebounds, a little bit of pick and roll here, a little bit of post play. But he's been fantastic for them. And I have nothing but good things to say about Andre Drummond so far this year. The only knock against him is, one, how good can he make you? How good can he make your team? Does he raise your ceiling at all? I think he's a floor raiser. I think the Cavs will be better with him, but I don't know if he pushes them any more than like he was able to push the Pistons past like an 8th seed, a bottom tier playoff team. But he's been really good, and he's been really consistent as a rebounder and an okay defender over the years, which is why I have him above the other dudes who still have, I think, more to prove than Andre Drummond does. Number 9, I have Jonas Valančiūnas. He's been really good for the Memphis Grizzlies, helped them almost reach the playoffs last year. Nearly a 20-10 guy. Him next to Jaren Jackson Jr., I think, is a good fit because Jonas Valančiūnas doesn't have much of an outside game, but Jaren Jackson is a really elite 3-point shooter. Jonas, ever since he left the Raptors, has like a bigger role with the team because when he was with DeMar and Kyle Lowry, they sort of took over. But now I think he's still a third fiddle to John Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr., but he is more important and fits in with and meshes with this team better. He's able to help John Morant out in the pick and roll. He's able to help down low with the defense. He's able to grab boards. He can even do a little post work by himself, and they allow him to do that. I just think the opportunities that he's had, he's thrived in his role, his increased role. And it's been really, really nice to see. At number 8, I have former number 1 pick, DeAndre Ayton. He's been really damn good, and I think also really underrated just because of who he was drafted with. I think he was in the Jason Tatum class. I think he went first, and then Tatum went 3. I forget who went 2. I should probably know that. But DeAndre Ayton at number 8 because he's been getting better each season, and now he has Chris Paul to help elevate his game even further with like that point guard mentorship, and he's been playing defense, grabbing boards, putting the ball in the bucket, putting the ball down low, putting it on the floor, putting it in the bucket. Like, he's just been a monster. And the reason I have him above a guy like Valančiūnas is, one, because of the potential and how good he is compared to how good Valančiūnas is. I think they're very similar in their skill level right now, but since DeAndre Ayton's like 21, 22 doing this, and Jonas Valančiūnas is already like 26, 27, it puts him just a little bit above Valančiūnas for me, because I think they're doing similar things right now, but Ayton has a much higher ceiling, I think, than Jonas Valančiūnas. I think Valančiūnas has already peaked. Number 7, I have Jusuf Nurkić for the Portland Trailblazers. He's been looking really good coming off his broken leg from last year. He does everything the guys I've mentioned before. He does everything they do, but he does it better. He's a better rebounder, he's a better defender, and he's a more reliable scoring option. Maybe not a more reliable scoring option than DeAndre Ayton, but he's so much better defensively that I think that makes up for the fact that he doesn't do as much offensively. And he also, that's like his role, because he has Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum to handle the offensive load for him. He'll still get his buckets, but he's just not needed to get his buckets as much as like Ayton needs it when Booker is the only other option on the team, at least for the past couple of years before they got Chris Paul. At number 6, I have Nikola Vučević. I think he's becoming one of the more underrated players in the league. He was an all-star maybe a few years ago now, 2-3 years ago now. Perennial 2010 guy, near 2010 guy. He's been the best player on a team to make the playoffs and win a couple playoff games in the past 2 years. Won one last year against the Bucks, and the year before that against the Raptors, who were the eventual champions. The Raptors, that is, not the Bucks, who got bounced after getting almost swept. But yeah, he's been really, really good. He doesn't play much defense, but his facilitation as a big man is elite. He can shoot at an elite level for a big man. He's one of the probably top 4 or 5 centers in the league purely at shooting. He can put the ball on the floor, get you a bucket. He can hit you from the mid-range. He's an all-around scorer, and he does it so well, while also grabbing you defensive and offensive boards and playing mediocre defense, yes, but what he brings you on the offensive side of the ball helps negate that. Number 5, I have one-time All-Star Bam Adebayo. He can guard 1 through 5, which very few people in the NBA can do. I can probably name them all right here on one fucking hand. So yeah, he was an all-star last year. Was his second or third best player on a team that went to the championship behind Jimmy Butler, and I would say probably Goran Dragic on some nights, right? But he was such a valuable piece to the team last year. You can see that he doesn't shy away from the moment either, when he had that big block on the dunk attempt by Jason Tatum to help send them to the Eastern Conference Finals, or the finals. He's a dog. And he's like 21, and he's already an all-star. It's crazy. I think his incredible defensive potential, like defensive player of the year potential, and his decent offensive game, plus his elite level playmaking for a big at such a young age, is what puts him so high on this list for me. If you can play defense at an elite level, guard the 1 through 5, you're one of the most valuable players in the league, no doubt. I'm not saying he's an MVP candidate. Relax. That's not what I'm saying. Calm down. But he's damn good. Number 4, I have 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, Rudy Gobert. Yes, he is overpaid, but no, he's not overrated. He's either the first or second best defensive big man in the league, either him or Joel Embiid, whatever tickles your fancy, you know. But just his defensive presence alone is what makes him so high on this list. If you win 2 Defensive Players of the Year and you're consistently, arguably the best defensive player in the league, year in and year out for the past few years, you're top 4. I'm sorry. Argue with your mama. Number 3, I have Karl-Anthony Towns. He's like Rudy Gobert, except for the offensive side of the ball. He's the best offensive big man in the league, easily, no doubt. He can score from literally anywhere on the floor. Shoots like 40% from three. 40% from three as a center. Scores mid-range, put the ball on the floor, give you a bucket, and he plays okay defense too. His offense, I think, is more valuable than like Rudy Gobert's defense. Whereas, yes, Karl-Anthony Towns doesn't help translate to wins, but that's because the team around him isn't as good as the team around Rudy Gobert. When you have Donovan Mitchell, Joe Ingles, Bogdan Bogdanović, Mike Conley now, versus like before D'Angelo Russell, they had who? They did have Jimmy Butler that 1 year, yes, with Rick Rubio, but that still doesn't compare to like the depth and well-coached team that the Jazz have around Rudy Gobert. I would take Karl-Anthony Towns' offensive ability over Rudy Gobert's defensive ability 7 days out of the week. Number 2, I have Joel Embiid, and number 1, I have Nikola Jokić. I could see those being flip-flopped. For me personally, it's because Joel Embiid's injured all the time, and I take health is very important to me, as I said like in previous videos. He has the potential, Joel Embiid, to be the best big man in the league if he can stay on the floor, but he can't, and he's out of shape all the time. And, well, yes, he can score at will, pretty much. He hasn't shown up in the playoffs yet. He hasn't been in shape in the playoffs. He's injured, not on the court. I can't put him above Nikola Jokić, who has taken his team to the Western Conference Finals, while being the best player on that team. So, argue with your mama. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. I don't know what I'm going to do next. Probably some predictions for awards, but we'll see. I'll see you guys in a couple of days. Peace.